So this is our first live in our YouTube channel, Elix Pro. So welcome to Elix Pro. My name is Gustavo, and today I'm gonna teach you how to deploy your application, Elixir application, in Gigalixir. And I'm gonna explain to you why I always start using deploy first before I start coding. So one of the things that most of the time happening is uh, you start coding, you start thinking about tests later, and this is sometimes cause a lot of problems. Like you can imagine that you start coding, and after you code, you finish coding, you start thinking about the deployment. I know sometimes it has changes, like I'm not going to use a Gigalixir, but I'm going to use AWS, Google Cloud, or whatever service provider, cloud provider. But I think deploy is one of the first things that you should worry in production and staging and environments. And I'm going to explain to you why. Sometimes when you think about your pipeline CI and CD first, you can grow your code faster. You don't need to worry, like I just have 1 week to worry about deploying production. Sometimes it's happened and sometimes it fails, and then you will delay your project. But let's keep focusing in our video class today, which is gonna be focused to deploy our application. I'm gonna share my screen. This one. So we're gonna use Gigalixir platform, which is really great and simple. But sometimes, even when you have the documentations in Phoenix, like this one that we're gonna use we are gonna be guided by this script. But sometimes you can lose some details about deploying your application. So I'm gonna explain to you every step by step, and why and I'm gonna stop explaining sometimes and show to you some examples. So let's go ahead. So the first step that we are gonna do is you can generate a Elixir project, which is you can execute mix phx neo deploy Gigalixir. We can use -- live for now. We're going to generate an Elixir project. The Phoenix that I'm using is Phoenix 1.6. This is the new version, so which is really great. I like this Elixir version a lot. I learned a lot of things, and things this time is so much easier comparing with Phoenix 1.5. So while we are building our application, I'm going to explain to you more about Gigalixir. I strongly recommend you to go to gigalixir.com, then docs. You have as well the cost estimator and pricing. Let's see a little bit about those tabs here. So you have some tiers examples. The pricing is really cheap comparing with a normal application. So I like that a lot. So pricing here, you can create some simulators like replicas. So if you just have one replica, and the memory, minimal memory, and the database size could be this one. So you will expand $35 per month, which is really great. Or just $10 a month, only using one replica, which is really nice as well for an application that we're start or an MVP. So another thing that I strongly recommend you to do is go to Gigalixir documentation, getting started guide, install in your OS. Like I'm using Mac, so I installed the Gigalixir, and we're gonna execute some commands. And after that, you can create your personal account or company account. So I'm gonna sign in with my account. I already have an Elixir application as well over here. I'm just gonna delete that because for now we will have an example. So the first step that you have to do is destroy. I'm sorry, not destroy your database, but you can stop your application if you have one here. So go to scale, replicas to 0. Then you can go ahead to database, destroy. Let's wait for a little while. Da, da, da. Go ahead to database again. Copy the UID. Then we delete the database and destroy the application for this case specifically. Destroy. Now, I deleted everything, and probably when you create your account, you will see this dashboard over here. I'm gonna keep you focused on using every command line. I will probably use command line to generate an application instead of go here and create. You can use that, it's up to you. And we are going to use this documentation as well over here. So this is recommend us to sign up, log in, and then we can execute some commands over here. Okay. Even though you have this documentation, you can lose some steps, and steps here is very important. Okay. So I'm still generating my Elixir application. I don't know why this is gonna take so long time. I know this is happening because I am using a streaming application. Probably this is consuming a lot of memory from of my computer. That's why it's taking a long time. So let me see if we have another option, because this one would be great if we have an Elixir application. We create an Elixir application. Ooh. Well, what I can do here, if you don't mind, is uh, stop creating this application, but not install the dependencies and compile. Let's try that, and not using my local machine to show you. Deploy Gigalixir, and let me try that again. I will say no. I can go now to deploy Gigalixir. I'm gonna open my VS Code over here. The computer is extremely slow now, so sorry about that. And now we have our terminal opened here. I'm not gonna explain every file that I have here, that we have here, because it's gonna take a while. And so for the next step, I probably can explain to you every files, but for now, let's keep it focused to deploy our application. You probably know Elixir to see it now. I'm just gonna use the git init to start my Elixir application, Phoenix application. Start. I'm gonna use the main branch. There you go. So now, following those steps over here, I'm gonna make some changes. First, let's use the Gigalixir plugin. So this is my email. So some commands that's really useful, one of them is Gigalixir apps. Now I don't have apps in my Gigalixir account. As you can see, this command, we are gonna create a Gigalixir application. So Gigalixir create -n. This is gonna be deploy Gigalixir as Elixir. So as you can see, if you use the Gigalixir create -n, what's gonna happen is you're gonna create your application, and at the same time, you're gonna configure your remote Gigalixir over here. So now if I use the command Gigalixir apps, as you can see, now we have a unique name. If you go to your Gigalixir console over here, as you can see in your dashboard, you will see that you have the deploy Gigalixir ELX Pro, which is really great and simple. So following those documentations over here, as you can see, it's recommend us to verify a Git remote was created. Let's check that. And then we have our remote Gigalixir branch configured. Another thing, it's recommend us to create Elixir build pack with those versions over here. To make this one easier, first, what I'm gonna do is just execute this command, but I'm gonna change the Elixir version, and I'm gonna explain to you why. This is not updated right now. I'm not using the Elixir version 1.10.3. I'm using the Elixir version 1.13. So as you can see, was generated a file Elixir underscore build pack over here. I'm gonna change my Elixir version to 1.13 over here. I'm gonna save this one, and I'm gonna include the OTP Erlang version. In this case specifically, my Erlang version is 24. And now my node version, let me check this. So it's 17. I'm gonna execute this command as well. I'm just gonna copy this node version over here to have the same here. So after that, it's recommended us, because we have the ES build instead of Webpack, to create this package.json with those commands. So I know it's like copy and paste, but really useful. Just copy this one as well over here. And it's recommend us to add those scripts over here, which is, I know that we'll have to do that. But what I'm gonna do is just git add all of them, git commit dash m, prepare our first deploy, and then git push Gigalixir. I'm just gonna follow those steps over here. Some things that they recommend us is to configure the SSL, but I'm not gonna use that. I'm just gonna push. And also I will create our database and start creating a context to see what's gonna happen. And yeah, I think this is good for now. Check some commands more here, because now what's going to happen is we are going to deploy our application. So first, the Erlang version 24 is not supported. Let me check one of my personal applications over here, what I'm using in Gigalixir. Give me a second. .24. I'm gonna add, just update this script over here. Git commit update Erlang version. Git push Gigalixir. I'm sorry, my computer is extremely slow for now. So now, as you can see, our configurations like Erlang version, Elixir version, and Node version probably in another place. Where is our Node version over here? So we cannot check this now. But what's happening now? We are deploying our application in Gigalixir. We are using the live view, so we probably need to make some a little bit more configurations, and we will check this together. So, and let me check another things that we can do to make this one simpler. I think for now it's enough. We'll need to test that. Let's start creating our Postgres database and try to use not on my local machine because this is extremely slow for now. I'm gonna open a new terminal here. And Gigalixir PG create free. We are gonna create a Postgres database free. It's recommend us, because this is a trial version, they recommend us not to use, or we cannot switch this database to a production database So for this case specifically, if you're using this one in production, I would strongly recommend you to dump your database before you delete that, okay? So we can just say yes. Our Gigalixir application was deployed, I think. So Gigalixir gave us a logs application, gave us uh, recommendations to see some informations. But here you can use Gigalixir, open the application. And so it looks like your app is running, but we are still setting up the load balance. So try again in a few seconds. It's okay. You can use the Gigalixir logs here and -a deploy Gigalixir ELX Pro. Let's check the logs. So we already have our database configured. Unfortunately, I would love, because I did not use the mixed apps. I think it's possible, but I'm not sure, using the schemas to create our application. So let's check that. But first, let's see if our application's running. Let's wait for a little while. And mixedapps.get. Let me check this one. This is gonna work normally on my local machine right now. Cool. And I hope so. So now let's gonna test mixgen live categories, agree, name and description. Nothing a lot, just using the context, and see if it's gonna create without we execute the compiling. So you can probably execute this command easily on your local machine, but because I'm using a StreamYard, my computer now is extremely slow. I'm not sure if I can show you these updates right now, but let's check our Gigalixir application, and there you go. It's working. Now it did not produce our CSS file. Now it does. So we have our application running in our Gigalixir. So let's wait while this is compiling, but let's make some changes in our application and see it in our Gigalixir application. So here, what I'm gonna do is just remove this, all of them, and include something like hello Elixir, git status, git add everything, git commit -m, update Gigalixir application. Oops, what's happening? Okay, now git push Gigalixir. And then what we have, we are executing our command to deploy our application again. So if you check, we made just few steps to deploy a simple application in Gigalixir. So if you have dependencies or hooks or whatever, this is going to be simpler since that you have your first deploy. So that's my recommendation. Every time, think about a deploy your application first. So here, this is compiling, and I recommend you to make some updates here after this class, like execute, not the dapps.get, but this command over here, like phoenix.gen.live categories name and description. This is gonna create a context using the live view, and after that, Phoenix will provide you some routes, so you can insert those routes in your router file, router.ex, and after that, you can commit all the updates and check if you have a relationship between our Gigalixir application and your database. Let me check if it's gonna work. Let's check those files over here. And then we have the updates that we made, like hello Gigalixir. Let me check another thing that's missing. So here it's still compiling. Unfortunately, my challenge for you is to first create the category that, as I mentioned to you a couple minutes ago. And another thing, to use the migrations, to execute the migrations, or probably I can configure that with you. We can configure this together. And after, you can try on your local machine, okay? So here, if you go to your Gigalixir application, go to SSH and remote console, it's recommend you to generate an SSH key, and then you can send this key to Gigalixir. So you can use this guide over here that they are recommended you. My keys, I'm gonna check my keys because I have one. Elixir. To check the cat. There you go. So that's my key. I'm not worrying to show you. So let me check the command that I executed a couple minutes ago. So here, what you have to do is just using the cat, generate your SSH key, and then you can include that, like this command over here. I'm sure that we can execute this one, generate your SSH, push this in your Gigalixir application, and because you already have your Gigalixir application running, and then you have your SSH key, you can execute the command to migrate your database to your Gigalixir database application. So what you can do is just execute Gigalixir ps migrate. For this case, unfortunately, we don't have a database to migrate over here, but I can show you another command. Yes, let me execute that. This is my path phrase. Connection with it's already up because unfortunately I don't have database, but another command that's really useful is Gigalixir ps remote. It's remote or remote underscore console. And there you go. I can show it to you now. But before, Gigalixir ps remote underscore console. Elixir ps remote console. So there you go. We have our live categories over here. Let me just provide this key. So now I open an IEX inside my Elixir application. And now I have the routers over here. I will just go to router, include all of them here, like this, git add git commit-m, uh, handling with categories, git push Gigalixir. So let's go ahead and see if we have this in our Gigalixir application. So while we are deploying our application, as you can see, we are in our IX application. Then you can use, for example, list over here, 1, 2, 3. Now what we can do is list in account. There you can see we have an AX terminal over here. One of the things that's really nice for me too is when you execute PS observer. I'm gonna show my passphrase. So it doesn't work, unfortunately. So for some reason, so you can try this one again. But the most important here is now we deployed our application. If you check over here, our Gigalixir app here that we created, we should have a route called categories, but it doesn't work. Internal server error because we did not execute our migration. So if you check using the Gigalixir, um, yes, logs -a deploy, Gigalixir, ELX Pro. As you can see, it's trying to create our application, but undefined table categories. So to solve this problem, we can execute the Gigalixir PS great. And there you go. We created our database over here. If I refresh the page, as you can see, we already have our application. But one of the things that's happening is every time executing, like refreshing our page, every time. You have two ways to handle with that. One of them is configure this piece of code like your environment variable. I'm so sorry. Like in your runtime here, and we have another way, which is you can go ahead here using the check. I think it's check orange. Let me check. Let me make sure. I'm not sure. Check orange live view. I made this configuration a lot. I just don't remember when and where. Let me check one of my personal applications if I did that. And I'm sure that I did. I don't want to make those configurations. Check orange here. There you go. Check. I just want to make sure about this. Check origin false. I'm gonna stop my application. You can use the another way, but it's up to you. I'm just gonna give you the easiest way and fast for this application and to make this one faster. So here I made this configuration, git add, git commit, not check origin, git push Gigalixir again. Let's deploy our application again. So if everything went well, this is not gonna reload our application every time. So let's wait for a little while. Let's see the logs. Maybe not. I think that's not so necessary. Let me just refresh our application. And probably it did not update our app because it's running a lot of times like this. Just close my browser. -a deploy Gigalixir -elix pro. Let's try that again. So our application is deployed to Elixir ELX Pro. Now, as you can see, we don't have that problem like refresh, reloading the page every time. So now I can create a category here, like thinking about cars, or thinking about category. Think about one that I forgot. Pizzas. Paste. There you go. You have your application using the live view and using the Phoenix framework and deployed in your Gigalixir. Hope you enjoying this live. See you for the next time and bye bye.